This TikTok is beyond terrifying. Posted by elkakoi.tv, you're about to meet Chucky's more disturbed sister. The clip shows what at first appears to be a little girl standing in a room, facing some pictures. The way she stands is a bit eerie, because it is so stiff, and soon you'll see why. Slowly she turns toward the camera. Her legs and feet do not bend or move. It is not a little girl at all, but the ghoul-faced doll from your nightmares. Dark hair, pale face, white dress, and dark rings around her eyes. She stares at the cameraman for a moment. He turns tail and races out of the house toward his truck, saying something's not right. Sounds like the understatement of the year. He gets in his truck and shuts the door, trying to calm himself. But that's when he catches a glimpse of something in the rearview mirror. Who should be in the backseat but the ghoul girl herself? The horror. There's nowhere to run or hide. She will find you. Scary Surreal Places and Time Lapse is a YouTube channel that speeds up raw footage of odd and interesting locations in search of anything out of the ordinary. They are recording a pier at random when this strange creature comes rushing towards them. I would say this is just a fish, but the animal clearly starts on land and paddles to them before submerging at the last second. They shine their lights around both sides of the pier, but whatever it was is long gone. The animal is very small, but the wide wake left in its path suggests that it's much more powerful than it seems. Leave me your best guess as to what this could be, because even the uploaders of this video have never seen anything move like it before, and they themselves are not sure what it was. Avery is almost 2 years old. He's happily babbling away in the kitchen when his mother starts to feel a strange presence. This has happened a few times before, so she decides to start recording. Normally, her child is very quiet, but every once in a while, he will become very active and start having a conversation with someone who neither of his parents could see.
Who are you talking to?
Avery's mother finds this behavior very perplexing, so she starts to ask him over and over who he is talking to. Finally, after the third or fourth time, she gets a sinister reply.
Who are you talking to?
Her child looks over his shoulder, almost as if someone is there. When he turns his back to her, a raspy voice says, "Ryan." Listen again with the sound up if you don't hear it. I guess this voice could be coming from Avery, but it sounds like it's coming from someplace much closer, almost right next to the camera. It almost sounds like a slightly different voice than Avery's. Maybe Ryan is a ghostly pal who is looking to make a new friend. A popular YouTuber named Mikey021 has reason to believe his house in Brazil is really haunted. He says it's not uncommon for objects to go moving on their own. Tell me if you think this home experiment is real or not. This video might be a spirit, or he could be blowing plastic cups off his counter with a hair dryer. It looks paranormal until you realize it could simply be wind. If some heavier objects were caught on camera from a different angle, showing both sides of the counter, then I would be more readily convinced, but as it stands, I'm just not sure if his house is haunted. This video was taken around Halloween, when paranormal investigator and YouTuber The Fam visited the gravesite where famous rapper XXXTENTACION was laid to rest. He records the glass door while paying their respects, and you can see the inside of the memorial is empty. But when they pass over the door a second time, something is very different. Look at the bottom left window or you'll miss it. What's especially crazy is how he seems to appear as soon as they leave a hat and harvest pumpkin as tribute. If this video is to be believed, then it's as if he is paying his respects to his fans from beyond the grave. Live TV caught the earth-trembling tsunami that smashed into Japan. After a magnitude 9 quake on March 11, 2011, the images that followed are pretty terrifying. The earthquake was so powerful that it was felt everywhere, from the fjords in Norway to the ice sheet of Antarctica. It was so powerful that it redistributed the Earth's mass and shifted it on its axis. Our day's length has been cut short by a microsecond. It was so powerful that Honshu, Japan's main island, was moved about 8 feet east, and as the tsunami traversed the Pacific, 110,000 nesting seabirds were taken out by the 5-foot wave. It was so powerful that aftershocks continued to hit Japan during the year that followed, 5,000 to be exact. It was so powerful that 6 years later, and the tsunami's devastation is still being dealt with in Japan, where of the 150,000 evacuees still left, whose homes were lost to the quake, a third are still in temporary housing. As for the cost of damages in US dollars, it rang in at about 199 billion, but because the earthquake was followed up by the tsunami, and both were unexpected, the 2-in-1 had devastating results. It got worse. A cooling system failure resulted from the tsunami at the Fukushima nuclear power plant, releasing radioactive materials. A horrible event in and of itself. Told you, nature can be terrifying. This short clip captured an eerie figure in an office building at night, published by Emily Durkin in January of 2019. The lights are on in the second floor of this office building, and they're just bright enough to reveal this creepy silhouette. While the YouTuber thinks it's a ghost, the phantom is certainly a small one then. It does look like the silhouette of a human figure, but it stands very still and doesn't move from the frame of the window pane. Do you think this is a ghost? If not, what else might it be? And what the heck are they doing in this office building at night? This one left me with more questions than answers. Wreckful is a streamer and YouTuber, and in this video, he is live streaming in the streets of Japan. It's late at night and the streets are almost completely deserted. Wreckful soon notices that he is being followed by a man wearing a surgical mask.
Wait, I'm on follow. I'm gonna flip the camera.
Wreckful begins to look genuinely afraid as he stops himself from panicking. He ultimately decides to run when he turns the corner.
I'm running.
He eventually stops and confronts this potential stalker. It turns out this man is a fan of Wreckful and was wanting to scare him as a joke. Wreckful is still clearly shaken up from the incident while talking to his follower and his friend. Well, it turns out Wreckful was in no danger. The confusion of being followed by a stranger is certainly frightening. A British YouTuber named Lewis Clark goes in search of a country cottage that's reportedly where people go to take their own lives. The inside is still and stuffy and cluttered with cobwebs and shattered glass. Huge chunks have rotted underfoot, threatening to send Lewis Clark and his crew to a painful fall that might not have made it through. As they go deeper inside, they noticed a very bad sign. Tell me if this is a fake cough or not.
Guys, the whole place here stinks. I don't know why the place stinks.
The stench is really bad now, as they reach the far end of the home, and as one of them reaches for this giant spider, they find something much more horrifying laying in wait.
Boy, this guy, he's gonna attack the spider. What the is that?
A white cloth with dark red stains is draped over what appears to be the shape of a human. It looks like this poor soul met a particularly gruesome end, but there's no red on the walls or pooling on the floor underneath, so I think this body was recently moved here for some reason. Or this was all set up. The problem is I can't tell which, and I'm not sure if I want to know the real answer. A YouTuber named Nosy is poking around an old abandoned home that is in rough shape, The place is crumbling on all sides and covered in debris. Some sections look like they could collapse at any minute, so he doesn't go too far inside. It's the middle of the day though, with plenty of natural light, so Nosy creeps around the outskirts and even dares to check out a few rooms for a better look. He's having a look through one of the more secure looking rooms on the bottom floor when apparently something notices his presence and starts rushing his way. Nosy wisely retreats out to the nearest exit and cuts his adventuring short for the day. The upstairs was not safe for him to explore, so it's doubtful that someone would live up there, though still possible, I suppose. Either way, the footsteps were clearly human and not from an animal, and Nosy was clearly all by himself throughout this video. Therefore, the only other explanation I can come up with, besides a homeless person, is an actual ghost. Whatever it is, Nosy says that he will go back to the house and solve the mystery once and for all. So be sure to check on his channel to see if he ever does. I hope he stays safe and I wish him the best of luck. This scary video clip captured not just one misty spirit miraculously floating atop the water, but a second emerging from below. Posted to TikTok by Horror Talk, the apparition gracefully glides on the water's surface, only for his brother's head to appear, materializing from the same point in the water. It grows upwards, but we're left to wonder where the pair of spirits wandered off to, and from where they came. Some in the comments think this is a weather balloon, others say it's La Llorona, the weeping woman who roams the waterfront. What do you think it could be? Scary scratching from within the basement should alarm anyone. Some would call for help while others would grab their phone, not for help but to make sure whatever's down there is caught on camera. That's what two roommates do after one hears noises in a hidden crawl space of their home.
It could have been anything though.
Nah, I was scared, man. I heard noises. Hold on, move this first.
You're a scary cat, dude. It could have been rats or whatever. What about it? We got a whole bunch of rats.
Nah, man.
The one who hasn't heard the noises is brave. The one who has is scared.
Are you going down there?
I'm not. That shit.
There's a light right there, dude. You go down there while I record.
There's no way he's going down into the creepy basement crawl space after hearing eerie sounds, so his roommate volunteers to show him up.
Like the light right there, the string. It's around here somewhere. Hold up. I can't reach. Can't reach. I think I gotta step on that chair. There's a chair right here.
He squints in the darkness, and that's when he finds the scariest thing of his life.
Hold on. Oh shit! Fast that!
1 minute and 27 seconds is when I can barely make out a shadow figure straightening up to greet him. He's screaming and the video ends before we get to see if he escapes from the crawl space before it reaches him. The man sees a ghost hiding in his basement according to the title of this video, but I'm not so sure the supernatural is what he's caught on camera. Something scary is in his basement crawl space for sure, but think about it.
Can't reach. I think I gotta step on that chair. There's a chair right here.
Why would there be a chair positioned directly under his crawl space entrance, unless somebody has been using it to climb into their home? I don't think this is a ghost haunting the basement. I think this is an insanely scary stranger encounter caught on video. Anyway, that's my analysis, but what do you make of this strange sighting? There is a powerful figure on this roof, and it's united the villagers in rebellion. Posted on TikTok by Tati Catalina, this scary video shows a large dark figure dominating this rooftop. Anyone who dares near it seems to be blown back, either by her power or from fear. Watch. All those who try to reach the roof fail, and the figure doesn't seem to be bothered by them. They're even throwing things at the figure, but with one great pop, she disappears. Is this dark magic in the round? I'm not sure if this was a witch or some other mysterious creature, but I am sure she's managed to traumatize these villagers for life. A YouTuber named Braveburn is by himself checking out an old abandoned house rotting in the forest. Behind a creepy mold-covered door and down some old wooden steps, he finds a basement that looks far from safe. He pokes around downstairs for less than a minute before he finds a false sense of wall that leads to a lonesome hidden room. Soon he comes across a bunch of miscellaneous extension cords tangled together on a broken bench. Why anyone would need that much power to this tiny room is anyone's guess. It's almost like someone was being kept down here, possibly against their will. Braveburn shines a flashlight down a narrow square hole and chances upon a tuft of golden straw-like material. I'm really hoping that this is insulation and not human hair. He quickly leaves without checking, so I guess we'll never find out. This recent video of an unidentified flying device was sighted in New Mexico. It looks like a disc-shaped object until one of the lights breaks away. Then they all briefly flicker out before lighting back up in a new formation. Is this some kind of special military flare exercise or what? I think I'm gonna go with what, and by what, I mean extraterrestrial life. Published by Colbean Ari in January of 2009. The description claims that this lost tape was discovered and shown with permission from the government to warn others. The tape features some teenage boys going to explore their school's basement. As they say, strange noises have been heard coming from the basement. An urban legend has it that a former student dwells there. Soon they would discover the truth. After the boys wander around in the semi-darkness, they hear a rasping breath of an inhuman creature, and then they see it. The creature on all fours attacks. The boys flee, but the footage rolls on. What could it be? A true beast or a student film gone horribly wrong? A news reporter hears a train approach and gets an idea for a shot.
Here, let's do it. Train.
The idea is to have her walk into the shot and let the train pass by for dramatic effect. The only problem is she can't look over her shoulder because it'll ruin the shot. She has to guess how close the train is, and her estimations are a little off.
20 minutes after midnight. Oh!
She manages to take 2 steps and is barely off the tracks when the train flies by. This could have ended a lot differently, and there would have been absolutely nothing for the cameraman to do to stop it. A YouTuber named Ariette Jane is live streaming a road trip when suddenly an unidentified creature bursts through the traffic, nearly causing a wreck.
Here we are. San Diego Freeway coming up. Boom. We are there. Awesome. Whoa! Dude, what the hell was that? He wasn't on a motorcycle.
The speeding object leaves a short trail of fire behind, almost like it has a turbocharger of some sort, yet it's going way too fast to be an ordinary vehicle. My guess is this is computer-generated special effects, but if that is the case, then I don't know how he got the cars to slow down all at once to make this shot look so realistic. Maybe there was traffic ahead or something and he edited this creature in later. Either way, Ariette Jane swears that this video is 100% real, and I'd like to know if you agree with him or not. Who is standing at the end of the hallway? Published by Find Ghost in December of 2021, this short clip captures a ghost girl on camera in a haunted home. As ghost hunters are searching around this room, the camera pans around. Look closely at the end of the hallway. A creepy figure can be seen standing there with long white hair and a darkened face. When the cameraman pans back a moment later, the figure is gone. Would you leave? The caption says. I'm already gone. Michael Jackson may have made a spirited cameo in YouTuber Kelsey Davies' adventure in the Forest Lawn Cemetery. Accompanied by Omar Gosh TV, Kelsey enters the Los Angeles Cemetery, where the King of Pop was laid to rest in 2009.
Drawn to over here, like I just felt like I needed to look on these walls, and all of a sudden we find Margaret, which is so great.
This is what happened during the team's visit.
Are you here, Michael?
Is Michael have you met him? Do you know if Michael Jackson's here?
After that, Michael began to make music.
Is there someone here with us?
Using dowsing rods to communicate, Kelsey gets a reading.
It's moving a lot.
Look.
Oh!
Did it? Are you this? Yeah. I'm so curious.
While continuing to speak to Margaret, she confirms that the spirit is not related to Michael.
Hey, I got a question for Margaret. Are you related to Michael Jackson? Does that mean no?
No.
Okay.
Kelsey then really starts to become one with Michael.
My heart hurts.
Oh.
Like a heart attack. This person. How did Michael die? I know.
Heart failure?
Heart failure?
Cardiac arrest.
That was his.
That was his cause.
And at last, Michael reveals himself.
Is this person here, is your name Michael? Can you cross the dowsing rods in my hand for yes and open them for no?
They are not alone.
Ooh.
It turns out something else is here.
Are you Michael Jackson?
Oh, it is.
Does Michael have company?
Are you a demon?
Yeah.
Maybe he's playing out Thriller in the afterlife. Britton Smith is hanging around her dorm room when she notices something is apparently laying in bed with her. An invisible force appears to be pressing up and down on the flowery design of her covers, right before her very eyes. I will admit that it's hard to tell if something is on top of the covers or simply underneath, in which case it could be anything and not necessarily paranormal. Britton Smith describes this as a ghost in her dorm room, but I'd like to know if you agree with her or not. A group of friends are heading down the road. When they think they see something in the distance, they silently observe a small figure standing motionless just barely within sight. Listen to this part and translate if you can. Finally, they decide to take their chances and barrel past. Look closely and you'll see that the highway phantom is cloaked in a single white sheet. The stranger remains motionless as the bike passes, not even putting their hands up to protect themselves. This bizarrely calm reaction is not ordinary. It makes me think that this was in fact a real highway ghost encounter. A janitor is closing up a restaurant in San Francisco called The Chapel, which is said to be haunted by the ghost of a small girl. As soon as he is done locking the door, something tries to leave and then runs away. If she was afraid of getting locked in, why didn't she bang on the door to be let out? Also, how come she didn't say anything when all of the lights turned off? On the contrary, if this was instead a real person trying to sneak in, then she probably wouldn't immediately try to open the door because it could set off an alarm. I guess she could just be making sure the janitor really is leaving. But since this restaurant is said to be haunted by the ghost of a small girl, I believe this could be her. What secrets does this witch's cemetery hold? Dennis of YouTube channel Dark Ghost Paranormal is about to find out. He first comes across this disturbing shelter guarded by cow skulls.
А вот это интересно, что такое?
He hears something nearby. He says voices are heard here.
Вот с этой штуки, вот с этой постройки доносятся какие-то голоса.
He sees a face in the structure.
Камера вижу, а так смотрю, нету ничего. Будто бы чье-то лицо. Вот, два глаза.
To me, this does look like a face, but it seems to be pareidolia. But later, he hears this through a paranormal device. Then he finds this unnerving collection of butterflies.
Открыл я просто, я не знаю, у меня дар речи пропал. Что самое странное, откуда здесь?
His paranormal device again relays this strange sound while in the body's presence.
О, блин, мне даже страшно двигаться. Я хочу отсюда убежать.
And again, this scary whistling noise is heard. The noise grows even more terrifying. I don't think Dennis should stay here any longer. The butterflies would have sent me over the edge, but that last sound is even more unnerving. A YouTuber named This Is Dan Bell has made a name for himself by exploring some of the creepiest abandoned places on Earth. This time he is seeing what he can find at an abandoned house outside of Baltimore City, the former home of the notorious Stephen Craig Johnson to be exact. In 1983, Stephen Craig Johnson brutally ended the life of his child in a fit of delusional rage. The case grew famous all up and down the entire East Coast, and it doesn't look like anyone has lived in the house ever since. As Dan Bell travels deeper inside, you can feel the sadness and despair clinging to every room. Amidst the discarded debris and wreckage, Dan Bell finds a weird handwritten letter in the closet with illustrations of a woman on the front and back. There's a brief paragraph talking about how evil the house is and what can be done to stop it. Some of the handwriting is kind of hard to read, so if anyone wants to type this letter out, I would appreciate it. Two things seem kind of sketchy about this letter to me though. First of all, the ink does not look faded enough to be something from the 80s, and the paper does not seem very aged either. I don't think it was penned by anyone in the Johnson family, so maybe someone else snuck inside and placed it here in recent years. Dan Bell is understandably nervous at this point, but he has come this far and there's still an entire second floor left to explore. He eventually finds himself in a stale attic covered with scattered documents and heaps of trash. He's just about to leave when he makes eye contact with something that has been watching him all along. A vulture, the devourer of fallen animals, silently regards him from the floor. Its gaze is calm and expectant, almost prideful in a way. If this really is a wild animal and not staged, then it is almost certainly a bad omen for sure. A Spanish-speaking YouTube channel called Fearless Omar Crew pairs up with Ricky Velasquez to track down what they are calling the most cursed witch in the world. Silently watching from within a hideout in the middle of the woods is a dark figure. Their high-powered survival flashlight does nothing to brighten its face, even when shined directly in the window. They should run away screaming for help then and there because, I mean, nobody wants to get a curse after all. But the group decides to go on the offensive and confront whoever or whatever is inside. Waiting for them is this creepy doll pointing their way. Again, running away and getting help seems like the smartest possible option at this point, but they instead walk around while actually holding the doll, checking every hiding spot possible. Then they hear this disembodied voice in an area that they just looked in moments before.
¿Quién eres?
I think it might be the witch taunting them further. Perhaps the doll was not pointing at them earlier, but rather at someone behind them. Anyway, as they are trying to make sense of the situation, this noise scatters their thoughts. If you speak Spanish, please give us a rundown on their conversation before this happens, as well as their reaction after.
Es que se oigo mejor. Luego cuando estoy agarrando el celular me pongo una, pero ahorita si me puedo poner las dos.
That absolutely sounded like a cackle of a witch taking enjoyment in their fear, or at least a woman who lost her mind long ago. Maybe whoever was laughing was also placing a powerful curse on them both, one that I hope does not extend to me and you. This restaurant is thought to be haunted by numerous spirits, one being a former regular who goes by the name of Jack. Watch what happens on this paranormal equipment when you call Jack by his name.
If you can step in front of this, we'll be able to see you. If you can come over towards me. Jack, are you still here, honey? Right there.
He's here.
No, that was
okay.
Ryan.
It's not Ryan.
That was...
No, it wasn't me.
No, that was him.
Twice, a mysterious figure appears on their body mapping equipment, and as they are arguing about if the phantom image is real or not, the bartender says some words and Jack the ghost relaxes, leans back against the counter.
Okay, Jack, you can talk to them.
You want to get that over here?
Okay, Jack, you can talk.
Is that one?
Yeah.
That is one.
Yeah.
Nobody is in front of them, and yet a ghost sighting is caught on camera. The bartender addresses the spirits again, and a second ghost sighting unfolds.
Jack, please speak in that box.
Tell them, let's go, let's play.
Oh, there's another one.
Even smaller.
Probably. It's hard to say. I mean, the kids are all over the place.
The server says that ghost kids are all over the place too, and as soon as she says those words, the smaller figure is gone. This just seems like far too much of a coincidence not to be something paranormal caught on video. You know when you're nonchalantly taking video, panning across the room, and this happens? This short clip posted to YouTube by Baku DD is not meant to be a jump scare, but it'll have you jumping scared anyway. As the woman films her apartment with a blurry camera, she pans around to a hallway that appears to be filled with sunlight, perhaps by a window backlighting the area, and there stands a tall, looming figure that apparently shouldn't be there at all, judging by the woman's frightened reaction. The woman shrieks, and the shot moves sideways as she jumps in fright. When she pans back to the hallway, the figure is gone. This is either a fantastic fake or the real deal. Whether you think it's legit or not, it's probably something you wouldn't want to witness in the flesh. TT Mando posted this video in 2008 of his ninja cat chasing a ghost around the living room. In the description, he writes, I have never really been a believer in ghosts, but my wife and I have 2 cats that used to always go nuts seeing things that we could not see. They would howl at the lights in our dining room and chase things around that were not there. It was really weird, so my one cat starts going nutty one night like he is seeing something. So I decided to try and shoot some footage, thinking maybe I can see what they are seeing through a camera. The video begins with the cat watching something floating in the air attentively. What is he staring at? While shooting the footage, the YouTuber switched between regular and night vision mode, which is when the ninja cat started climbing the walls. Literally. You can see that the cat has managed to climb to the top of a dresser and is looking up into the corner of the room. Whatever the cat has its eyes on must be moving all over the place because her gaze darts here and there. The cat then jumps down from its spot on the dresser to a scratching post. And then, as its eyes follow the invisible, it jumps up the wall and lands on the floor. It tries again, jumping up the door and managing to get its claws into the door frame. It looks up into the corner of the ceiling, its head still darting around. The cat hangs there for nearly an entire minute, seemingly enraptured by the ghost or spirit in its sights. Seriously, do you see anything there? Because I sure do. According to the YouTuber, a dot of light moved through the TV once he got his cat down from the door. The YouTuber points out the light that moves from the back to the front of the room. If you watch the video closely, you can see it too. The experience was apparently traumatic for this cat owner, who now sleeps with the covers over his head. A YouTuber named Vintango says his Xbox might be possessed by a ghost, and a bunch of people in the comments are backing him up. It's opening and closing at random like crazy, and then all of a sudden it stops like it's thinking about something. When it starts up again, one commenter says that it kind of sounds like the ghost is trying to make the Xbox say help me. This video is from 2009, so the console was already up to 8 years old and possibly breaking down. Spirits try to communicate with all sorts of other electronic devices, so I guess an old Xbox is as good as anything. A family's CCTV camera captured this mysterious creature outside their home. It looks to me like a little goblin. Its creeping, hunched over movement is unnerving. It doesn't do anything remarkable, but skulks out of sight. Is it a rake? A house elf? I agree with Orlando. It definitely looks like this. While exploring deep inside the Cave of Mounds, YouTuber Near Shadow starts to hear whispers. Listen closely.
Oh, your light, hold on.
What was that? What was that? What is that?
Hello?
Later, you can definitely hear a child's voice in this larger cavern.
Yeah, it looks like it's like gonna fall. Look.
It does. This is cool.
Yeah, there's so much moisture that you don't know, look how wet that is, and then you can't.
The team doesn't appear to hear this in the moment. To me, the voice sounds a lot louder than the earlier whispers. Is there a child spirit trapped in the Cave of Mounds? I think it's time to send in the cave divers. A man at work accidentally locks himself in a large attic. He's trying to open the door when he hears a strange noise and decides to start recording. He thinks out loud that it could be a rat or a pipe as he cautiously continues to film.
I'm getting kind of a spooky vibe up here. Right there. There it is again.
Soon he realizes that the strange thump is coming from the very top of some steps that he has never seen before. He climbs the steps and suddenly feels like he is no longer alone.
Hello?
Apparently, he was right.
Whoa!
Something clatters to the ground and sends him running down the steps. I'm not sure how he managed to get out, but when he did, I'm sure he was glad he had plenty of video evidence to back up his claims. If a tree falls on you in the forest and no one is around to hear you scream, do you make a sound? Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Essex Haunted, the Redditor explains that in Puckley, Kent, UK, there is a forest known as Daring Woods, otherwise known as the Screaming Woods. Legend has it, those who have passed there haunt the place with their screams. Although Essex posted only a personal pic, he linked to a video of said forest, which was published to YouTube in September of 2016 by LC Play Z. In the distance, you can really hear horrifying screaming from the depths of the forest.
Oh my gosh. Should we scream back at her?
The man in the video asks if they should scream back, and maybe that's just what this is. Live people having screaming matches back and forth at each other from opposite sides of the woods. Or maybe, like the Redditor suggests, there's another natural explanation. Responding to whether it could be some species of wild cat, Essex writes, more likely to do with the ways the trees are very closely grown and the wind, although in a later comment he adds, I've spent 3 nights there. In the last 2 months filming, some of the noises are just, well, hard to explain. According to Essex Ghost Hunters, the village of Puckley nearby is also one of the UK's most haunted ghost towns. So, nature or ghosts, do you have a better explanation for this screaming? When Ravi Singh and his friends see 2 mysterious figures in white, they have an odd reaction and decide to flash their high beams instead of driving away. I feel like they are trying to prove a point here, but I don't understand. So if you speak the language, tell me what they're saying.
आगे कर अपर डिपर मार तो प्रवास होत बापा मन.
What's kind of weird is how the possible spirits always seem to stay just outside of the headlights, almost like they want to follow but only while staying in the darkness. And I think they are trying to point out that the spirits do not show up on the dash cam, but I'm not sure.
हाँ जान दे पिछू जान दे पिछू.
I'm hoping someone can translate this scenario, because I really want to know what's going on. With a pair of tweezers in one hand and a bucket in the other, Rory Shumack approaches Lacey, a pet monitor lizard with a tick that needs to be carefully removed. The sun is in his eyes, and he's too busy looking for the tick to pay attention to the other end. I'm sure you saw Lacey's jaws, but it also tried to whip him in the face with its tail. After watching this failed attempt, I would probably have a professional vet perform a tick removal, but tell me if you can think of a better way. 3 friends bravely choose to summon Bloody Mary, while one of their parents records. They recite her name 3 times in the mirror, and when nothing happens, they decide that the legend is a bust. The dad makes fun of them for a little bit, and they go on with their day.
I guess now we know that Mary Worth doesn't like you.
According to them, it wasn't until much later that they actually looked at the video and noticed some strange occurrences that made them upload it onto YouTube. Look at the countertop in the upper left-hand corner.
Oh, please, come on now. Well, what other ideas?
I don't know, other ideas of how to get her to jump out of the mirror at us.
Maybe it takes a little longer.
Like how long?
I don't know, like a couple minutes.
The candle appears to move by itself on at least 2 separate occasions. I guess it could have been magnets, but I really don't understand how. It's important to add that they were all picking the candles up to light them just a moment earlier, and nothing was hidden underneath. Give me your best guess as to how they moved these candles. Or better yet, tell me if you think it was Bloody Mary who was moving them. This video was taken somewhere deep in the Philippines. To anyone watching from the Philippines, can you please listen to this and tell me if it sounds like any wildlife you have ever heard? It almost sounds more like a machine than a human. Take another listen and tell me if you agree. The University of Texas once lost 100 human brains. The brains, which were acquired in the 80s for scientific research, sat in jars of formaldehyde in the basement for over 30 years. Decades later, the school decides to move them to a different part of campus, only to find most of them were missing. What's even more bizarre is that all of these brains were donated from an old Texas asylum. Among them was the brain of Charles Whitman, who in 1966 ended the lives of a dozen university students after taking aim from a tower. No one knows what happened to them for sure, but according to rumors, students were taking them every year to use as props for Halloween parties. The main point is that the minds of over 100 inmates have gone missing, and no one knows what is currently being done with them. While inside this haunted house, these ghost hunters are lured into the forest. Published by Lomar Mendez in October of 2021, the pair consider whether or not something is in the house with them, and as they explore the house, they hear something.
The house is probably creaking.
Their camera's light appears to be malfunctioning, and soon they become positive that someone else is here.
Someone's here, someone's here, someone's here, someone's here.
As they wait in fear, they hear a strange noise from the next room, and then they see the figure. They take this as their cue to leave. While they do escape the house without incident, they're being followed, but the big reveal is yet to come. Well, this is a pretty messed up thing for a dad to do. These two should look on the bright side. This could have ended so much worse. A YouTuber named Jude the Cool Dude is making a video tour of his house when he discovers something new on the 3rd floor.
Wait. Wait, is that a door?
Concealed behind a hidden wall panel is a cramped room with extremely small furniture, including a tiny table with a single candle for light. Terror spreads across Jude as it dawns upon him that he could very well be standing in the hiding spot of an intruder who has been living here for some time. It even looks like whoever inhabited this place may have rerouted the wiring to divert power to this part of the house. It's almost impossible to tell if this video was staged or legitimate, but with all of the stories I've read about people living in houses for years without being discovered, I really wouldn't be surprised if this was real. Either way, Jude decides to quietly close the trapdoor and never mention this find again.
What did you say? Can you say that again? Right into the side of my thing? I heard you.
A TikToker named Deadbeat TV is investigating a haunted farmhouse for traces of the paranormal when he gets an answer to his question in the form of a passing shadow.
What did you say? Can you say that again?
He is standing completely still, and yet something moves fast across the floor. The shadow is perfectly contained within this room and does not touch either side of the doorway at all. It doesn't come from behind. Something ran across this room, a low-moving shadow with no body attached, and shortly after, this second ghostly shadow reaches out. This seems like something paranormal to me. Driving in the Himalayas can be beautiful, unless you're opposite an angry driver. Published by Extreme Out in July of 2016, this driver was descending the dangerous Rotang Pass from Manali to Leh when he crossed paths with a heavy truck moving in the opposite direction. The driver notes that everyone should be patient in such conditions because impatience can lead to lives lost. They didn't find patience in this truck driver though. The man writes that he dipped his lights on the narrow mountain road to indicate that the truck and car ahead should stop and let him pass if they had a wider road. The truck did not signal back, but the car indicated that there was space to cross and so he should move forward. After moving to the side, the car passes easily, but the truck is taking its time, which is understandable as you can see how bumpy the terrain is. However, it became clear that the truck driver apparently wasn't going to pass at all. After sitting for a moment, the uploader starts to reverse to give the truck a wider berth, and instead the truck drives right at him. He raises his hand for the truck driver to stop and then continues to back up on the dangerous road, which he notes is not easy. Again, instead of passing, the truck is directed at him. The game continues for a time until finally the truck passes. They stopped him to argue, wondering why he acted the way he did. Was it a threat out of spite, or did he really not have room to pass? From this angle, we will never know. Predator combat drone is conducting a routine patrol when suddenly something huge and fast enters its airspace. What appears to be some kind of unidentified flying object streaks by the drone. In a gigantic burst of white light, the drone turns around to scan the area. But whatever zoomed past is now long gone. Unfortunately, no further footage was recovered. I don't know if the lack of information surrounding this video is a sign that it's fake, or it means the military simply isn't saying anything. The unidentified flying object could be CGI, but outside of that possibility, what you are watching could very well be our first contact with very technologically advanced extraterrestrials. Question: what's scarier than a theater at night? Answer: a haunted one. Published to TikTok, this appears to show the phantom caretaker of a haunted theater. Jay says the theater is supposed to be empty, but he keeps hearing a noise, so he's searching the theater to find its source.
Alright guys, so I work at this old theater and been hearing a noise. It's a really beautiful theater, as you can see, if you can see it at all. But I keep hearing a noise in here and there's not supposed to be anybody here, so...
Suddenly, he glimpses something in an upper theater box. He can't quite capture what it is, but after backing up a bit and zooming in, he manages to focus on this. It looks like the ghostly figure of a little boy dressed in a suit. Although the image is blurry, the scary figure is distinctly there, leering out from a theater box. Phantom of the Opera? An intruder? Maybe he's just a ghost fanboy waiting patiently for the play to start. A man was fast asleep in bed when a new type of alarm woke him. Posted to TikTok by Mr. List Paranormal, the man is seen lying on his back when suddenly he flips onto his stomach. He thrashes around as though trying to escape something, and then that something takes it to the next level. The man's feet are lifted skyward as he continues to try and free himself. At last he is left alone, and then he turns around, gazing forward at nothing. Then he sits calmly cross-legged, as if in a trance. Many in the comments say this is why you should keep both feet under the blanket, but for others, this video is inspiring. TikToker KM107 writes, "I'm so doing this to people. Sounds like he'd be a pretty mischievous ghost." A YouTuber in Thailand named Hassan Natapong is exploring a ghost town full of abandoned buildings to investigate. There are far too many abandoned places to go exploring on foot, so after a while he uses a drone with a high-resolution camera to take a closer look and see what mysterious sights he can capture on video. Hassan is just a normal YouTuber and not a ghost hunter by any means, so you can imagine his surprise when he finds a mysterious figure in all white wandering down the road like a zombie or something.
ไม่มีอะไรเฮ้ยใครฮะอะไรวะเนี่ยเฮ้ยสันเดี๋ยวเอาโดนแกเหรอ
He tracks the strange figure with his drone and watches as it does a bizarre walk, arms outstretched, up an unkept yard and into an abandoned house, seemingly at random. The way the figure shambles from left to right does not look like a ghost sighting, but it could be someone who is about to drop from exhaustion and needs help. So Hassan knows he needs to find this person fast before it's too late. He can see his drone flying overhead, and so he follows it to the abandoned house where he saw the mysterious figure go into. The inside is trashed and large sections of wall are completely gone. It doesn't look safe for anyone to live in here, and I wonder if this is where someone would crawl to live out their last moments in relative peace. He looks everywhere, even on the second floor, and finds no evidence that anyone is here. As he goes back down the missing staircase, you can see nobody is there. But when he gets to the bottom of the steps, he sees a little ghost girl kneeling under the stairs with long black hair over her eyes. I say this could be a ghost sighting, because there's no way to have missed her going up these steps. I'm guessing that he must have not noticed her presence until he was editing the video much later. Then again, considering this looks like a very generic representation of a ghost, kind of like the movie The Ring, it's also a pretty big coincidence that he just so happens to be filming over his shoulder when she appears, so I think it could be fake after all. With the increase in home security systems, people are able to capture the most bizarre moments on what would seem to be another ordinary day. User Prometheus6EQUJ5 made a post to the r/paranormal subreddit detailing an incident that happened to him and his daughter on Thanksgiving 2020. The two of them were in the kitchen preparing for dinner late at night when a brief moment drew their attention away from the task. Without explanation, an empty bottle on a counter a few feet behind them inexplicably tips over. No one else was nearby at the time, and no movement was picked up by the camera's recognition software. On closer inspection, the bottle topples over as if it were aggressively pushed or flicked with a finger. Both father and daughter notice it, then pause in contemplation over what happened. In the Reddit post, Prometheus explains this was the first such instance that happened, and neither him nor his wife had any relatives pass away around that time. He has made several edits to update people on the situation, which provides a backstory to the events. He explains the house is over 70 years old with various owners prior to him. He says things got strange after he heard noises coming from the attic and decided to investigate. There he found an old rocking chair made for a toddler, as well as most who had owned it in the past 20 years, and all claimed to have not owned the rocking chair. He says strange occurrences started only after he moved the rocking chair into the storm shelter. There are various incidents of spirits becoming attached to objects they held dearly to them in life. Often, moving or tossing such objects can cause distress, usually the catalyst for paranormal activity. Considering the size of the chair and the minor events which transpired, it is possible the spirit could be that of a child, harmless and only causing a mild disturbance. However, with what little information we have so far, it is difficult to tell as a result of the positive response from viewers and the number of views it has garnered. Prometheus is considering live streaming the chair for an entire night. So far, this has not happened, but we certainly hope he does in the hopes of further documenting the strange happenings in his home and whether or not it is related to the chair. A YouTube channel called Adventure with Hodge goes on an urban exploration of an abandoned factory, and it turns out to be one of the scariest places he has ever explored. Something feels wrong with the creepy location from the very start, and they begin to wonder if this place is really abandoned after all.
Eerie, not gonna lie.
The basement feels downright spooky with only one flashlight between them. The urban explorers are too scared to venture far, especially when they discover a creepy message spelling out their fate.
You're in his home. Wonderful. I don't like that at all.
Listen. We just decided to go back in the basement. We just heard something.
That was loud.
On the basement floor is another haunting discovery in the form of an abandoned jacket. Why would someone leave their jacket down here? Hodge wonders. I personally couldn't help but notice it's kid-sized, and this is certainly no place for a child. Someone scary must have taken them to this horrible location. someone twisted and deranged. The two friends are beyond creeped out, but at the same time curious enough to go exploring past the creepy warning on the wall. Bad decision.
It's time to go. Time to go.
Okay, we're gone. I'm sorry.
Somewhere in the darkness, a heavy object falls over, and the loud, scary noise they capture on tape makes them cry out in surprise and run away while apologizing. This part deserves a closer analysis because it's scary stuff indeed. They are exploring the middle of the basement, nothing within arm's reach, when an unseen object either crashes or is thrown to the ground. Hodge is holding the camera and you can see his friend's elbow right before the scary noise is caught on video, so he's standing too close. Whatever caused this unexplained event can't be them. Plus, listen to how he later describes this creepy encounter caught on tape.
Majority of the video, we were exploring the basement of this abandoned factory. We kept hearing noises, felt like something was following us, and lo and behold, something followed us and we were chased out the basement.
I see no signs that he's lying, no deceit in his eyes, only enthusiasm at the thought of having a scary and maybe even paranormal encounter caught on tape, so I believe this creepy video is as real as he says. Ivan Dragunov stands at the top of the stairs, leading down to his basement and says something in a language I can't understand. Try to translate what he says, and more importantly, tell me if you can hear a brief whisper echoing all around him.
Okay, Tukima, duchove.
At the bottom of the stairs, something unseen fills Ivan with dread, and he can't seem to catch his breath. He tries to run, but fear overrides the signal and his feet stand still. The room is cast into a heavy silence until whatever is watching him finally moves forward. You never get to see it, but whatever was down there sounds quite large and coming from the other side of the room, so it's very unlikely that Ivan was making the noise himself. Oh, and something tells me he won't be finding the courage to change the light bulb down there for a long time. If some entity starts throwing things, it's probably best to leave. Published by HD Adam in November of 2021, this scary video explores a ritual house. During his first walkthrough, a strange noise is heard off to the side. Something is in this house with Adam. The fear builds as a door slams shut. Sending the towels shaking on their hooks. Later, while Adam is talking to the camera, the curtains are jerked behind him. The spirits get angrier and throw a bucket when Adam doesn't get the message the first time.
Daha ürkütücü hale getireceğine inanıyorum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
And then start throwing the pots. Even scarier, a telephone rings.
Bakın telefon çalıyor.
And when he finds no one on the other end, something knocks on the door. If someone is there, it doesn't reveal itself, but the disturbances continue, with heavy pails falling, windows bursting open, and doors swinging inexplicably. Later, when Adam does his own ritual, sitting on the floor and burning a candle, a metal object to his right starts to shake aggressively. A minute later, the lights go out and something else shakes loudly off camera. Would you be able to spend an evening in this haunted house? I can't take a minute more. Submitted to the Chills Narrator subreddit by Purgatory Adventures. This Redditor wrote, "Check out this crazy scream we captured while spending the night in a haunted location in Saskatchewan, Canada. Let's watch their submission and see what they're talking about."
Yeah. Kick it again. Yeah, I can see the lights.
The lights, Kate.
Here's it there. Here's it there.
There was certainly some debate about this video in the comments. Lady Mania wrote, "I barely hear a scream. I only hear regular noises and the two people talking." While Corn TJE wrote, "Sounds like a cat in my opinion. Did you hear the scream the uploader is talking about? If so, what do you think is causing it? Let me know in the comments." Redditor Wayne Bruce 11 was wondering why the TV was on in the morning and on a channel no one in the household ever watched. That's when he checked his security camera. It captured this at around 3 in the morning. Something has turned on the news. Well, I think this could definitely just be a connection or technical problem. The Redditor says they've been dealing with this ghost for 15 years. At least, the ghost's worst roommate faux pas is only late night TV watching. This entry involves a series of videos revealing a web of industrial looking tunnels that weave beneath the campus of Northern Arizona University. The uploader states that in October of 2018, he only reached the bottom of the stairs but recently decided to venture further. Enclosed Granddad writes, "NAU was almost established as an insane asylum back in the mid-1890s, and rumor has it that these tunnels would have been part of that." He shares a link, which notes that the building was first built as a reform school for Arizona's so-called vicious youth. It's unclear why it remained empty for years upon completion. That's when, as Granddad mentioned, an insane asylum was proposed by the territorial legislature. For some reason, that wasn't followed through either. What isn't made clear is this short historical literature is when the tunnels were built and for what purpose. The recorder guides us through the dark tunnels, writing, "I came across pathways that I could have potentially crawled, shimmied through, but chose not to because, 1, they seemed a bit dangerously cramped at points, and 2, I didn't want to spend too much time down there. I don't know how much farther these tunnels go until we find out what those tunnels were used for. The mystery may just be enough to haunt you. If you're afraid of heights, you'd better close your eyes for this one. The sky pool at the Market Square Tower in Houston, Texas is leaving nothing to the imagination. At 500 feet above the ground, the pool offers terrifying below-foot views of the busy roadway 500 feet down. The sky pool has a glass bottom, allowing swimmers to see what it feels like to be a flying fish, as the video, uploaded by NYC Yank in Texas in January of this year shows. When you swim out towards the edge of the infinity pool, you're walking on air, 42 floors above street level. One of the developers told the publication Paper City, "We thought it would be an attention grabber, and it has been. Hopefully it doesn't grab swimmers' attention too much. Wouldn't want them swimming over the edge, 42 floors up." A TikToker named Gallagher is from Jersey checks up on his child when he notices a second small head facing the opposite way and looking up. Its features vacant and half deformed. He rushes into the room and in his rage says he'll put an end to the spirit and calls it a name.
I'll you son of a bitch.
which I'm not sure was the best approach to take considering it had such easy access to his child. Look at this alleged ghost sighting again up close. It doesn't really look like a blanket or a toy to me, but I could be wrong. He never does show us the crib, but I guess he never figured out what it was since he went ahead and uploaded this strange video for us to analyze. A person with an interest in graveyards is casually filming when they accidentally pick up a bizarre and possibly dangerous watcher. You can see a blurry shadow as it takes a few steps out from the other side of a wall, but the person recording doesn't seem to notice. It wasn't until much later that they reviewed the video and found the hidden lurker in the distance. I personally think that this could be CGI because the resolution of the video seems to have been lowered, which is always a sign of amateur effects. Then again, the person recording may have been using a cheap camera. Or maybe this is an older video. Isn't nature beautiful? This video shows us it's actually terrifying. Redditor Sarah in Alaska shared this clip of this stunning Alaskan wilderness, but listen closely to the audio. She's wondering if viewers hear a voice, and if so, if you can tell what it's saying. Redditor Endangered Mind 2 suggests that the voice says, "Race back down," and Sarah agrees. As they just reached the summit, after listening repeatedly, I agree that this is what it sounds like, but the voice is not theirs, so whose is it? I don't have any answers, but I think I'd keep off this trail for a while, or never hike it again. A YouTuber named Shavir Joffrey has been hearing loud knocks and other strange noises at night. So he decides to half-jokingly ghost search around his house for fun. Nothing happens until he starts talking about what he is going to do to the ghost when he catches it. Do you think this is paranormal or just a friend off camera?
You know, any ghost that comes in, game over, my... Did you hear that? Did you...
Okay, so that might not be enough to convince you, but as soon as they crack more jokes, they hear a slight scraping noise, kind of like somebody breathing through a straw, and this time it is right by them. I think there's another part that they might have missed. Do you hear someone take a breath here?
And be like, I think...
A YouTuber named V-Croc and his friends attract the attention of an angry local, a man who is known for taking his bad temper out on others. He starts by throwing rocks at V-Croc, though judging from the small clang they make against the fence, I doubt they are large enough to cause any real damage. Soon he returns with even larger stones that he has gathered from the parking lot across the street. He is filled with so much rage that even his free hand is balled into a fist. I'm honestly not sure who is to blame here, or who even started this whole event, but at one point a fast food employee comes out and seems to take Jeremy's side. You can see Jeremy appears to be the one trying to walk away. Later in the day they meet again, and this time V-Croc appears to be alone. Jeremy starts to walk away at first, but then he decides to get revenge for earlier.
What are you gonna do?
I think V-Croc might be playing around, but Jeremy appears very serious and possibly not in the right head as he charges forward. Judging from the extreme anger in his voice, I have little doubt he would have tried his best to hurt this YouTuber had he not managed to run away. When somebody finds a spider in their home, some people would swat it on the spot with the nearest object, while others would try to find some way to let it go outside. Then there are a small percentage who would grab a camera and let the spider crawl all over them, like Feo3 here.
Oh yeah. I got a spider crawling on me.
He never intended for the arachnid to take a detour across his throat and then stamp its way across his face. He manages to stay calm and only has one thing to ask.
And it's crawling on my face, isn't it?
Why yes it is. Right towards your ear hole, unfortunately. Thinking fast, he tries to divert the spider away from his ear, but ends up encouraging it to almost burrow straight inside. He is so lucky that the spider decides not to do that, because that would have been a horrible trip to the hospital for sure. Not that having a spider in your hair is any consolation prize, but you get what I mean. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.